First story that we are focusing on, President-elect Donald Trump is all set to take the oath of office, officially becoming the 47th President of the United States. His swearing in today caps off one of the most remarkable political comebacks in American history as he begins his second term. But the festivities will look a bit different this year due to sub-freezing temperatures that are forecasted, and the inauguration ceremony will take place indoors, something that hasn't happened in 40 years, where it has always been the iconic Capitol Hill steps where every American president is sworn in. The event this time will also see a number of high-profile global leaders in attendance, including Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and Argentinian President Javier Milei. Take a look at this report that gives you the entire story in greater detail.
President-elect Donald Trump is all set to be sworn in as the 47th President of the United States in a historic ceremony at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. The event will feature a star-studded lineup including celebrities, foreign dignitaries, and tech titans, marking the beginning of Trump's second term in office. So, what can we expect from this momentous event? For one, Mother Nature is throwing a curveball. The ceremony will now take place indoors due to a bone-chilling cold front sweeping through the Capitol. Instead of the usual outdoor setting, the president's inaugural address, along with other key speeches, will be delivered from the iconic rotunda of the U.S. Capitol. The inaugural parade will be held indoors at Washington's Capital One Arena. A global lineup of leaders is set to grace the inauguration, with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, Argentinian President Javier Milei, and Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán among the prominent figures expected to attend. Chinese President Xi Jinping will not attend the ceremony, but is instead sending the Vice President as a special envoy. India will be represented by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, while Japan's Foreign Minister Takeshi Iwaya has also confirmed his participation. All living former U.S. presidents will be present with their spouses, continuing a long-standing tradition. However, former First Lady Michelle Obama has chosen to skip the event, offering no explanation for her absence. Both female candidates who lost the race to the White House to Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton in 2016 and Kamala Harris last November, will be present. Some of the world's most influential business figures will be attending. Tesla CEO and staunch Trump supporter Elon Musk, Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos, and Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg are expected to be seated together. TikTok CEO Xiaozi Chu will join the high-profile guest list just as a nationwide TikTok ban takes effect. He's likely to sit alongside the tech mogul trio. Google CEO Sundar Pichai will also be making his way to the Capitol for the occasion. The ceremony will feature a lineup of iconic musical performances. Opera singer Christopher Machio will perform the national anthem. Country legend Lee Greenwood will bring the spirit of patriotism alive with God Bless the USA. And Carrie Underwood will sing America the Beautiful. With protests expected, thousands of federal agents, police, and other law enforcement will be on hand. President-elect Trump's inauguration is set to be a defining moment. As the world watches, the ceremony marks the start of a second term for Trump, setting the stage for what's to come in American politics. Samia Afsar, NDTV World.
All right, it's going to be a star-studded affair. But ahead of taking office, President-elect Donald Trump held his final Make America Great Again, or Maga rally on the eve of his inauguration to promise swift day-one action, remarking that the federal government and far as shifting priorities on everything from cracking down on the U.S. Mexico border to promoting oil drilling or liquid gold, as he actually called fossil fuels in that rally. Trump promised to rein in the federal workforce and eradicate diversity programs. In fact, he spoke at length about them. He also vowed to close the curtain on 4 long years of American decline. Listen in to some of the snippets of his over 70-minute long address in that D.C. rally.
We need to save TikTok because we're talking about a tremendous... Who in this audience goes with TikTok? Many? Yeah. very popular. And frankly, we have no choice. We have to save it. A lot of jobs. We don't want to give our business to China. We don't want to give our business to other people. The invasion of our borders will have come to a halt, and all the illegal border trespassers will in some form or another be on their way back home. All of this in the Middle East in less than 3 months without being president. We've achieved more without being president than they've achieved in 4 years with being president.
All right, now let's get in Jessica Stone, a correspondent joining me from Washington, D.C. She's a correspondent with the Voice of America. Jessica, good to have you on the show. And let me start by asking you, it's a star-studded affair. We've told our viewers what all is expected, but talk to us about how different this ceremony is going to be. It's breaking a fair bit of records, but talk to us about the expectation, and how D.C. is. It's actually painted red after a very long time.
That's true. The excitement is definitely in the air here in Washington, D.C. as the sun is rising over the Capitol. And that is it's going to be a sunny day, it really here, but very, very cold, as you know. I know as we've been talking about, which means that for the first time in 40 years, all of the events have been moved inside. The swearings in, the national anthem, the songs, the music, the pageantry, the speeches, all of it inside either the Capitol or an arena not far from the U.S. Capitol. We know that the president-elect is beginning his day in about an hour's time at a church service across the park from the White House, and then we'll join President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden at tea at the White House before heading over to the Capitol for the swearing-in ceremonies for both the Vice President and the President, which will take place in the Capitol Rotunda, which again is not a normal place for that swearing-in to take place. When you look back through archived videos, you see so many videos and pictures of the previous U.S. presidents taking the oath of office outside on the West Front steps. And that will not be the case for this second Trump term. He will take the oath of office on his own Bible from childhood, administered by the Chief Justice John Roberts, but inside the Capitol Rotunda, where only about 50 or 60 people can probably attend. We are told through social media by Trump that he's invited dignitaries, but he hasn't named anyone, and VIPs. Of course, we expect that his family would be there and close advisors. But this will be a much more low-key, understated event. Of course, it's coming off a pretty high-octane event last night at the Capital One Arena, where he had his rally, and he will be heading back to that location after the swearing in. We're not quite sure where the speech will take place. I think it's going to be taking place in the Capitol Rotunda, all of it being streamed live to the folks in the Capital One Arena. But there are only 20,000 seats in that arena, as opposed to the 240 or 50,000 tickets that were issued to witness the inauguration swearing in and speeches on the West Front lawn. So that is a big gap, and all of those folks now have to find a place to stay warm and to be able to view the proceedings. That may pack our bars and restaurants over to the brim, hotels and the like, because this has been a season of celebration for those folks coming in from out of town in particular.
Absolutely. I want to ask that, already a lot has been spoken. Donald Trump has already, in fact, laid out his policy agenda for the next 4 years. But what more is likely to be expected in his first speech as the next president?
We fully expect this president to set a record for executive orders on day one, at least 100, if not 200 executive orders in the offing. We expect him to sign those executive orders throughout the day, reversing Biden policies on immigration, on climate change, on diversity, equity, and inclusion hiring practices in the federal government, on a mandate or allowing federal workers not to have to come to the office. We expect a lot of changes allowing for drilling on federal lands of oil and gas, of exploration to take place, reversing renewable energy mandates by the Biden administration. And then, of course, on immigration, as I mentioned earlier, we expect a raft of executive orders on that as well, reversing amnesty policy and procedures, not the ability to declare amnesty or apply for asylum when you come to this country, but the way that that is handled afterwards. We expect that there will be a rollback of those, as well as a surge of resources to the southern border under the form of a national emergency declaration by this president. And let's not forget TikTok. We know that this president has already said he's going to issue an executive order to delay and extend the period of time in which TikTok can reach an agreement to have its parent company divest from this app and allow some sort of U.S. ownership to take place. We don't know what that deal is going to look like, but we know that this president, after initiating this whole conversation 5 years ago, is now a fan of TikTok and wants to be able to keep it under some kind of U.S. ownership or Western ownership.